Alright everyone, today's video is my top 5 tips to win more Blackout games in the new Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Battle Royale. I never thought I would say this, honestly I didn't, but Call of Duty has done it right with Blackout. They've really taken a chunk out of the Battle Royale genre in its entirety. They are absolutely in the front running right now, I believe, for having the best Battle Royale that clearly has the most longevity. They've really done it right. There's a lot of positive mechanics here. There's a lot of intricacies that other games don't have, while also giving you that run and gun style of gameplay and that level of polish that other games up till now have not been able to bring to the table. So that's enough of an overview. I'll jump right into the top 5 tips to win more Blackout games in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. The first tip has to do with angling your descent, your jump location, and your parachute opening and the timing of that. The number one thing to know is that regardless of where the helicopters go, you can reach any point on the map. This is done by immediately angling your descent directly towards the ground to increase your velocity very quickly. Then you level off and go horizontal. Once you've done this, you're going to travel at a greater speed than other players. You're going to be able to reach any point on the map that you want to. You're going to get there faster. You're going to be able to get a weapon sooner, and you'll most likely win the encounter because of that against any players that are not doing this. So the first thing you do when you drop is you angle directly towards the ground, then you level off. You'll be going way faster and you'll have a distinct advantage because of it. You can also, keep this in mind, reach any point on the map regardless of where you drop, pretty much, if you do this properly. So it doesn't matter where the helicopters go, you can still pick any point. This is not like other battle royales where you have to pick something that's almost directly adjacent to the plane route or the helicopter route. This is distinctly different than that. The second part of this tip is your parachute. When you do get close to the ground, you open your parachute, but the number one thing to keep in mind is that you open your parachute based on your altitude. So if you angle yourself over the lowest point in the area, whether it's a valley or it's water or it's, right before a building, but you intend to land on a building, you'll open your parachute relatively close to the ground or relatively close to the point that you want to land at because you'll coast in. It's a little bit tricky to explain, but basically, if you open your parachute over a lower point on the ground, you will then be closer to the point that you actually want to land and spend less time in the air, and you don't want to be in your parachute for very long. Whereas if you open your parachute over a high point, over a mountain or a hill or a really tall building, then you will have to coast much further towards the ground because you'll be moving and you'll overshoot that. And yeah, you're just opening it higher up, relatively speaking, to where you're actually trying to land. So open your parachute over the lowest possible point within the general vicinity of the place that you're trying to land. The next tip is about overhealing and prepping your bars, whether it be gadgets or whatever else it is. It may be tempting to use trauma kits after a fight. They do heal you up all the way to 200 health, so instead of, having to pop a bunch of consumables to get your health back up to 150, which is where it normally caps, you can just pop one thing in the heat of the moment during combat and go all the way up to 200. Don't do this. It's a very, very common trap for new players. You want to be front-loading all of your survivability so that you actually win the first fight. You can't use a trauma kit if you're dead. So you want to be popping a trauma kit if you get it before you even get into a fight, because it's actually a 33% health boost from 150 to 200. And that's a big deal, especially in conjunction with armor. So trauma kits may seem like they're rare, but they're not. Maybe it's just an accumulation factor because I do get a decent amount of kills per match. Maybe it's just the fact that I like looting a lot from other battle royales, but I was coming across trauma kits very, very often. So you want to be popping your trauma kit immediately as soon as you get it, before the fight even starts, so that you front load all of your survivability. Because if you do win that fight, then it's very easy to use a bunch of small consumables like first aids or whatever to get back up to 150. Whereas if you lose the fight, it doesn't matter, you never would get to pop the trauma kit. So prep your bars, make sure your gadgets are all properly selected, and especially your health bar is topped up as much as it can be using trauma kits before you get into fights. The next tip is about positioning, and this one varies player to player. A lot of people are going to not like this tip or not use it, but other players will, so I figured I would put it in anyways. What you want to be doing is positioning yourself. If you listen to my advice, that is, you don't necessarily have to. Plenty of people can win games without this one, trust me. You want to position yourself between circle and popular hotspots. Now, there are some hotspots that are way more popular than others. The Asylum, for instance, is one where many teams will drop every single game. But outside of that, popular hotspots often include the named map locations that are, directly adjacent to the helicopter path. So you want to be dropping in a way or positioning yourself in a way when that first circle or that second circle pops up where you're directly between that circle and the nearby hotspots or named locations that are outside of the circle. Because what this often allows you to do is have a far superior location with better cover or better, elevation, something like that, and then pick off the team or the teams that win out in that hotspot and take all of their gear. So you effectively loot that entire hotspot without having to loot that entire hotspot, and you have a distinct advantage against the players that did loot that hotspot just because you took the time before the circle, fully closed up to get into a superior position between them and the location where they have to go. I can't tell you how many times this has won myself and my duo partners fights. It's gotten us extreme amounts of loot very quickly with relative safety. It's gotten our kill meter, bumped up a little bit. It really does work. So keep in mind where the circle is closing, where hotspots are. Something like Asylum is a super hotspot. And then put yourself between that hotspot and where those players have to eventually go to escape the damaging gas or electricity or whatever you want to call it. And thus you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get all the loot, you get the kills, you are more safe, you have an advantage just across the board. It's a really positive thing to do. The second part of this has to do with the blue beam that you'll see coming down from the sky in certain places at certain times. And this will actually become a hotspot because what that signifies is a group of zombies defending a box. And that box has very, very good loot, as anyone who's played the zombies mode will know. So that will rapidly become a hotspot, and you'll easily be able to tell when there's players there due to gunshots. And you can actually ambush them the same way that you would at any other static hotspot location and get all of that gear without having to deal with the zombies. So look out for the blue beam and keep that in mind as well as another thing that you can set up outside, get superior positioning, and benefit from. The next tip is about the perks or the cases or the boosts that you find on the ground, and you have to use them from your inventory. It's not a great system. I wish there was a faster way to pop them, but whatever. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And one of them, in particular, awareness, is actually I would say it's probably the strongest one. It's not game breaking, but it 100% can win you games in and of itself. In conjunction with another perk called Paranoia, if you have both of those, awareness and paranoia, towards the end of the game, it absolutely can win you the entire match because you can hear people from further away like they're right next to you. You don't have to have line of sight on them to know exactly where they are. And if you do get spotted by someone, if you are caught unawares, Paranoia is the perk that will alert you to that. So these two perks or boosts or whatever you want to call them in conjunction can absolutely win you the game. Myself and my duo partner, again, that's Jay Castro for those that remember from a long time ago on the channel. Whenever we had awareness, we were pretty much winning every single fight. Whenever one of us had the awareness perk, we had... It's funny to say it this way, so much awareness of where the enemies were, we could, call out their exact location without even seeing them from a decent distance away. We were winning every single fight when we had that perk active. So keep an eye out specifically for awareness and then paranoia. If you pair those two together, they're much better than other perks like Iron Lung or, things that augment your crouched move speed. Stuff like that doesn't give you a constant and unassailable bonus, whereas awareness is just fundamentally the best thing that you can have, especially in close encounters, final circles, in buildings, or anywhere where there's a decent amount of cover and there's not great visibility. It will win you the game. The last tip that I have has to do with headshots, and this may seem pretty self-explanatory, like obviously you go for headshots, that's true of any shooter or battle royale, but it's especially true of Blackout. And the reason for this is because there are no dedicated helmets. There is a helmet on the level 3 armor, but that's exceedingly rare. So unlike in PUBG or other battle royales, you're not gathering a helmet and a vest, you're just getting armor, and that armor does not protect your head. So you want to be aiming for headshots exclusively, pretty much, in every single circumstance. And another reason for this as well is because the enemy may very well have popped a trauma kit before this, so they'll have 200 health going into a fight as well as armor. Whereas if you shoot their head, then you're bypassing that armor completely and you're able to take them down much faster. So it actually is far more devastating to exclusively aim for headshots and miss more shots. You'll still drop them faster than if you shoot for body shots, land more shots, but it happens to be that they've popped a trauma kit, they have extra health, and they have armor of level 1 or level 2. It just is much, much better to go for headshots, even if you're missing extra shots. So it may seem like, obviously, of course, you aim for the head. That's true in every game, but it's especially true in Blackout, and it can win you games because you'll just bypass their defenses and take them down just as fast as you would have before. And if you aim for body shots, that's not true. You don't have that, that kind of culling ability where you can take them out regardless of their gear. That's going to wrap it up for this tips video. Honestly, I never thought I would say it, but Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, and Blackout in particular has done it right. I still believe that COD multiplayer is bad and it's just a cycle of mediocrity, but Blackout's not. Blackout is absolutely one of the most fun Battle Royale experiences that I've ever played. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, and I don't think that they can reskin it and launch it again next year. I think they'll either have to stick with it or just leave it as a one-off, but right now, for the moment, it's definitely going to be popular. It's going to continue to rise. It's going to embrace a well-earned position as one of the better Battle Royales. And also, it's definitely going to take over the console scene because no other Battle Royale can even remotely compete with Blackout on console. It's just not even close. So hopefully these tips help people. I never thought I would be, preaching the success of anything to do with Call of Duty, but here I am. Hopefully these tips, again, were helpful to some people and, gave you some insights on how to win more rounds. I'll be playing a ton of this. I might even be streaming some of it. You can check out the links down below if you want to support the channel or get involved with Upper Echelon. We have independent gaming forums. We have a Facebook group. We have a Discord server. I might stream on Twitch sometime soon. And then I'll definitely be streaming Red Dead Redemption 2 when that comes out. So if you're at all interested in that game, make sure to follow the Twitch channel. We'll be running a giveaway for Call of Duty, giving away a couple copies of Black Ops 4, as well as an Elite Xbox controller in the near future, and that's going to be launched and fully go into effect when I publish my overall review of Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So it's not there yet, but keep that in mind. If you want to have a shot at winning one of 2 copies of Black Ops 4 or an Elite Xbox One controller, just stay tuned and go to the description when I launch my review of the whole game, but not quite out yet. Anyways, I'll stop rambling there. Thank you for watching. Again, check out the links down below, and have a nice night.